What many people say about BTS member Suga is a lie, and his birth horoscope makes that very clear. Behind the image we see, there is a completely different story, one that makes me say, "Thank you, Army. You saved Yoongi." Hello, stars, welcome back to my channel where I analyze the horoscopes of your favorite celebrities. Today I'm taking a closer look at the birth chart of BTS member Suga. Min Yoongi, whom you know by his stage name Suga or August D, was born on the 9th of March 1993 in Daegu, South Korea. We don't know his exact birth time, which is needed to make a complete horoscope. But even without this information, there is still a lot that his natal chart reveals about him, including something that will probably change the way many people see him and the deeper story behind his connection with ARMY. Suga's overall energy already tells a lot about him. There is slightly more water in his chart and almost no fire. Water means feelings, intuition, and emotional depth. Fire would mean showing things openly, being loud, direct, and expressive. So in his case, he feels a lot, but he doesn't always show it on the outside. This is one of the biggest misunderstandings about him. People might see him as calm, distant, or even cold. But that's just the surface. Underneath, there is a very sensitive and emotional person. The strongest part of his chart is a big conjunction in Pisces, a cluster formed by the Sun, Mercury, the asteroid Ceres, and Black Moon Lilith. Pisces is the sign that feels everything. The Sun shows how Jungi is at his core. Mercury is how he thinks and communicates. Ceres is about care, nurturing, and emotional support, while Lilith represents deep, raw, sometimes hidden emotions, and also the part of us that won't accept to be controlled. When all of this comes together in Pisces, it creates a person who is extremely sensitive, intuitive, and emotionally aware. What many people say about Suga being cold is simply not true. In my opinion, out of the 7 BTS members, he is the most sensitive one. He feels more than most people around him, but he processes it quietly. He protects himself by not showing everything openly. Instead, he transforms these feelings into his music. Moreover, the Sun and Mercury are in a special position called Kazimi. This means Mercury, the planet of the mind, is sitting right in the heart of the Sun, his identity. When this happens, the mind becomes very clear and focused. Suga thinks deeply, understands things quietly, and expresses complex emotions in a precise way. It's like his thoughts and his identity are perfectly aligned. This is one of the reasons why his lyrics and his actions feel so honest and sharp. At the same time, Mercury is retrograde in his birth chart. Retrograde means the planet appears to move backwards and its energy turns inward. So Jungi's thinking is not just sharp but also very reflective. He thinks a lot, revisits ideas, questions things, and processes everything deeply before expressing it. This adds even more depth to his music and his way of communicating. There is also a talent triangle in his chart. This is a special pattern that shows natural abilities. At the top of this triangle is his Pisces conjunction, which is already very strong. The other points are asteroid Valentine in Taurus and the conjunction of Neptune, Uranus, and asteroid Fortuna in Capricorn. Valentine is about love and emotional connection. In Taurus, it becomes stable, loyal, and grounded. Neptune is the planet of imagination, dreams, and also music. Uranus is innovation and originality, and Fortuna is about luck and flow. In Capricorn, this energy becomes structured and practical. So this triangle shows a powerful mix: deep emotions from Pisces, grounded values from Taurus, and creative innovation that can be turned into real-world success from Capricorn. This fits perfectly with someone who creates emotional music but also builds a strong career as a producer. Two parts of this triangle also form a yod with Chiron in Leo. A yod is also called the finger of God or finger of fate. It creates pressure and the sense that something important must be developed in this lifetime. Asteroid Chiron represents a wound but also healing. In Leo, this wound is connected to being seen, performing, and expressing yourself. It can mean feeling insecure about shining or not feeling fully recognized at some point. But over time, this becomes Jungi's greatest strength. Through performing and through his connection with fans, he heals. And not only himself, but also others. His music becomes a way to share his experiences and help people feel understood. This yacht and especially Chiron in Leo is what makes me say thank you, Army. We often say that our idols saved us through their music, but we forget that sometimes we are the ones who save them. That's definitely the case for Suga as his birth chart shows. His healing comes through his music and through the energy that he gets from us, his fans. There is also something interesting with Nike, an asteroid connected to success, ambition, and victory. It sits at the critical 29th degree in Aquarius. This degree is very intense, it adds pressure. It's like the final moment before moving into a new phase. Aquarius is about innovation, originality, and doing things differently. So Sugar's drive for success is strongly connected to being unique and experimental. And because Nike is about to move into Pisces, it connects directly with music and with his emotional and artistic side. This can show his talent as an experimental music producer who mixes emotion with new sounds. At the same time, there is a tension with asteroid Karma in Scorpio, which is also at the critical 29th degree and forms a square to Nike. Karma represents deep patterns, emotional intensity, and things that feel fated or unavoidable. In Scorpio, this becomes very deep, all or nothing, and transformative. The square already creates inner pressure, but with the asteroids being at critical degrees, it adds a strong sense of urgency, like this energy needs to be expressed and resolved now, not later. On one side, there is Suga's drive to innovate and create something new, represented by Nike in Aquarius. On the other side, there are intense emotional experiences and deeper themes he cannot escape, Karma in Scorpio. This tension pushes him to turn heavy emotional material into something original and powerful in his work. His Venus is in Aries. Venus is the planet of love, relationships, what we enjoy, and also money. In Aries, it becomes direct, passionate, and independent. So while the rest of his chart is more sensitive, introverted, and self-protective, this is the one area where he is different. When it comes to love, relationships, and money, he is much more open, bold, and straightforward. He shows affection directly and values honesty and excitement, even if in other parts of his life he seems more reserved. Still, let's not forget the rest of his chart, which shows a very introverted person. So he will be direct, bold, and excited when he loves someone, but he will most likely show that only within his very close circle. His Venus is part of another talent triangle, with the asteroid Pallas Athena in Aquarius at the top and the North Node in Sagittarius as the third point. Pallas Athena is about intelligence, strategy, and creative problem solving. In Aquarius, it becomes innovative and visionary. The North Node shows Jungi's life path, and in Sagittarius, it is about truth, growth, and exploring bigger meanings. He is meant to grow by seeking truth, learning, exploring meaning, and sharing knowledge or perspective with others. Through his music and his experiences, he is not just expressing himself, but also guiding others to see things in a bigger way. This triangle shows a natural ability to combine creativity, intelligence, and a sense of purpose. It supports his artistic direction and his ability to express something meaningful. Mars, the planet of action and drive, is in Cancer. This makes Yuga's energy emotional and protective. He acts based on feelings and he can be very protective of the people he cares about. Jupiter, the planet of growth and expansion, is in Libra, the sign of balance and relationships. A square between Mars and Jupiter creates tension. Sometimes his emotions push him in one direction, while his desire for harmony and fairness pulls him in another. This can create inner conflict, but also strong motivation. There is also a T-square involving the asteroids Juno and Sappho and Hera in Aries. A T-square is a pattern of tension that pushes a person to grow. Juno is about commitment, Sappho about love and emotional expression, and Hera about power and relationships. This suggests intense themes around emotional bonds, loyalty, and independence. If he was born in the afternoon, the moon in Libra would add to this and turn it into a grand cross. This would make the emotional tension even stronger, especially around relationships and balance, but also give him more strength to handle it. Another T-square in Suga's chart involves Pallas Athena in Aquarius, Chiron in Leo, and Valentine in Taurus. This connects intelligence, healing, and love. Again, we see the theme of using creativity and expression to heal emotional wounds both for himself and for others. Pluto conjunct the asteroid Psyche in Scorpio is very intense. Pluto is transformation, power, and depth. Psyche is the soul. In Scorpio, this conjunction becomes extremely deep and emotional. It shows someone who goes through profound inner transformations and understands the deeper layers of the human psyche. The square to Saturn in Aquarius adds pressure and discipline. Saturn represents structure, responsibility, and sometimes limitations. This aspect suggests that Jungi had to face challenges that forced him to grow and mature. It can feel heavy at times, but it also gives him strength and endurance. We've already seen how sensitive Suga is, but he also has many aspect patterns in his natal horoscope that reveal even deeper layers of his inner world. In this part, we take a closer look at these patterns and what they say about him. The first one is a trapeze pattern that connects four very important parts of his chart: his life direction, the North Node in Sagittarius, his deepest wound and healing, Chiron in Leo, his emotional core and identity, the Pisces conjunction, and his way of loving and connecting, Valentine in Taurus. A trapeze always creates a mix of tension and flow. It doesn't let a person stay simple or one-sided. Instead, it pushes them to grow by learning how to connect very different parts of themselves. In Suga's case, the strongest point is clearly the Pisces conjunction. This is where his identity, mind, emotional care, and raw feelings all come together. This is his emotional core. It is soft, sensitive, and deeply intuitive. This is also where we clearly see that he is not cold at all. He feels everything, just very privately. Opposite this, Valentine in Taurus shows his need for stability, loyalty, and something real in love. So there is a contrast between his deep flowing emotions and his desire for something calm and grounded. Chiron in Leo adds another layer. It shows a wound around being seen and expressing himself, but also the ability to heal through exactly that. Through performing and connecting with fans, he transforms his sensitivity into strength. The North Node in Sagittarius pushes him to share truth and meaning, to turn his experiences into something bigger. This trapeze means he is constantly learning to balance all of this: his sensitivity, his need for stability, his vulnerability on stage, and his path of expressing truth. And this is exactly why his music feels so personal and also reaches so many people. Then he has a pattern called troller that works like a container. It gathers a lot of energy and information, processes it deeply, and releases it in a focused way. It gives strong learning ability but can also create isolation if too much stays inside. In Jungi's case, there is a square between Valentine in Taurus and Chiron in Leo at the bottom of the troller. This shows inner tension between his need for stable, safe love and his deep sensitivity around being seen and expressing himself. He feels a lot but doesn't show it because he protects himself emotionally. On the upper side, there is a narrow opening formed by the North Node in Sagittarius and Fortuna in Capricorn. This is where everything flows out. His life path pushes him to turn what he feels and processes into something meaningful and structured. This fits perfectly with his music and career. This aspect pattern shows that Suga absorbs a lot from his environment, processes it deeply, and then expresses it in a focused way. But because the opening is narrow, he doesn't share everything easily, which can make him seem distant. In reality, he just filters very carefully what he lets out. Now we come to an even more interesting part because we have two aspect patterns that are connected to each other and form a third one. The first one is a grand trine in fire signs, which means there is a natural flow and energy between three areas of his chart. Fire signs are about expression, passion, creativity, and showing who you are. So even though his chart overall has little fire, this pattern gives him a strong natural ability to express himself. Venus in Aries, the planet of love and creativity, becomes bold, direct, and passionate. He doesn't love in a passive way, there is initiative and honesty. Chiron in Leo brings the theme of a wound around being seen, but also healing through performance and self expression. The North Node in Sagittarius shows his life path, sharing truth, meaning, and his perspective with others. Because these three are connected in a grand trine, this energy flows easily. His creativity, his vulnerability, and his purpose support each other. Expressing himself, especially through music and performance, is not just something he does. It's something that helps him heal and grow. And at the same time, it naturally reaches and inspires others. The second aspect pattern is a very protective one called shield. It helps a person keep their energy safe by creating distance and absorbing pressure instead of fighting directly. It can look calm or even distant on the outside, but inside there is a strong ability to endure and process what comes in. In Suga's case, Venus in Aries and the North Node in Sagittarius are part of this shield, together with the conjunctions in Pisces and Capricorn. This shows that his emotional core and his creative, intuitive side are being protected, while his more structured, outward working side helps him handle and contain what he absorbs. This pattern explains again why he may seem distant. He naturally keeps a boundary. He doesn't fight energy head on. He absorbs it, processes it, and only then decides what to express. It makes him much more resilient than people might expect. By the way, you've certainly seen especially Jungkook playfully teasing Suga, but Suga not reacting aggressively, just sitting there and letting JK have fun. Well, this shield is probably why he can stay so calm, with the Magnets, but also in other situations. It's not because he ignores them or doesn't care. He just absorbs this energy in a different way than most people do. But at the same time, the shield can make him sensitive in certain areas. When something touches a deeper wound, especially connected to his identity and emotions, he may react by pulling back or protecting himself more strongly. Still, when he uses this pattern well, it becomes a strength. He can take in a lot, transform it internally, and then express it in a controlled and meaningful way. As I mentioned, the Grand Trine and the Shield are connected and they form a third pattern. It's one that I couldn't find mentioned in any astrology book or on the internet, but I find it too interesting and powerful to just ignore it. So this is completely my interpretation of this pattern. It's a pattern that I call a sailboat, because it looks and acts like a boat with a sail. The Grand Trine in fire signs is like the wind in the sails. It gives Suga natural energy, creativity, and direction. This energy flows easily and it helps him move forward, express himself, and share something real with the world. But the shield pattern around it adds another layer. It's like the body of the boat that protects what's inside. Instead of crashing into waves, the boat absorbs them and keeps going. The waves here can be emotions, pressure, or difficult experiences. Suga doesn't always react directly. He takes it in, processes it, and stays in control. So he has both movement and protection. The wind pushes him forward, but the structure keeps him safe. Sometimes the sea is calm and everything flows easily. That's when the Grand Trine works at its best. His creativity and expression feel natural and effortless. But when the waves get stronger, the shield becomes important. Yoongi may seem quieter or more distant, but in reality he is just navigating carefully, making sure he doesn't lose balance. Chiron in Leo is at the peak of this pattern and the point the sailboat is moving toward. It's a sensitive point around being seen and expressing himself, but also a place of healing. So all this movement is not random. It leads him toward learning to show himself and turning his vulnerability into strength, especially through his music and connection with fans. This combination is powerful. It means he can move forward with purpose even in difficult conditions. He doesn't just let the waves carry him. He knows exactly how to guide his path through them. When you put everything together, a very clear picture appears. Suga is not cold or distant, even if it can look like that from the outside. His chart shows someone who feels deeply, processes everything inside, and protects his sensitivity carefully. He is the most emotionally aware and intuitive BTS member, but he just expresses it in a quiet, controlled way. At the same time, many patterns in his chart push him to express himself, especially through music and performance. Chiron in Leo shows that being seen was not always easy, but it also shows that this is exactly where his healing happens. When he creates, performs, and connects with fans, he transforms his own experiences into something meaningful. So his path is not about hiding his sensitivity, but about using it. His emotions become his strength, and his music becomes the bridge between his inner world and the people who listen to him. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this interesting, make sure to like the video and subscribe to my channel. It really helps me grow and create more of these birth chart readings for you. And stay tuned because the next videos will be about J-Hope and Taeyong, and their charts are just as fascinating. Until next time, shine bright like the stars.